Customers weigh the perceived value of a product or service against the asking price when evaluating it. Marketers have traditionally spent the majority of their time and effort managing the price side of the equation, because raising prices can immediately increase profits. However, managing a relatively small set of numbers is usually the easiest part of pricing, and pricing analytics and tactics are highly evolved. What consumers truly value, on the other hand, can be difficult to pinpoint and psychologically complex. How can leadership teams actively manage value or create new ways to deliver more of it, whether functional, saving time, lowering costs, or emotional, reducing anxiety, providing entertainment? Discrete choice analysis, which simulates demand for various combinations of product features, pricing, and other components, and similar research techniques are powerful and useful tools, but they are designed to test consumer reactions to preconceived notions of value, the notions that managers are accustomed to judging. Coming up with new ideas necessitates anticipating what else people might find useful. Of course, the amount and nature of value in a particular product or service are always in the eye of the beholder. However, universal value building blocks do exist, providing opportunities for companies to improve their performance in current markets or enter new ones. A rigorous model of consumer value enables a company to develop new value combinations for its products and services. Our research shows that the right combinations result in increased customer loyalty, increased consumer willingness to try a new brand, and sustained revenue growth. We identified 30 elements of value, fundamental characteristics in their most basic and discrete forms. These elements are classified into 4 types: functional, emotional, life-changing, and social impact. Some elements are more inwardly focused, addressing the personal needs of consumers. Fitbit's exercise tracking products, for example, are built around the life-changing element motivation. Others are more outwardly focused, assisting customers in interacting with or navigating the outside world. Because both the Container Store and Intuit's TurboTax assist consumers in dealing with complexities in their lives, the functional element organizes is central to both. In our research, we do not accept a consumer statement that a particular product attribute is important on its face. Instead, we investigate what lies beneath that statement. When someone says her bank is convenient, it derives its value from some combination of functional elements that saves time, avoids hassle, simplifies, and reduces effort. And when a $10,000 Leica owner talks about the product's quality and the photographs it produces, an underlying life-changing element is self-actualization, which stems from the pride of owning a camera that famous photographers have used for a century. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is extended by the elements of value approach. We identified these 30 fundamental attributes after 3 decades of conducting consumer research and observation for corporate clients, which we derived from scores of quantitative and qualitative customer studies. Many of the studies employed the well-known interviewing technique known as laddering, which probes consumers' initial stated preferences to determine what motivates them. Our model is based on the psychologist Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which was first published in 1943. Maslow, who was a faculty member at Brooklyn College at the time, argued that human actions are motivated by an innate desire to meet needs ranging from the most basic, security, warmth, food, rest, to the most complex, self-esteem, altruism. Maslow's hierarchy is well known to almost all marketers today. His insights are expanded by focusing on people as consumers and describing their behavior in relation to products and services. It may be useful to compare Maslow's thinking to our model briefly. Marketers have observed his hierarchy organized in the form of a pyramid, although it was later interpreters, not Maslow himself, who expressed his theory that way. Physiological and safety needs are at the bottom of the pyramid, and self-actualization and self-transcendence are at the top. The widely held belief has been that people cannot meet the needs at the top until they have met the needs at the bottom. Maslow himself took a more nuanced approach, recognizing the possibility of multiple patterns of fulfillment. Rock climbers, for example, achieve self-actualization through unroped ascents of thousands of feet while ignoring basic safety precautions. Similarly, the elements of value pyramid is a practical rather than theoretically perfect heuristic model in which the most powerful forms of value reside at the top. A company must provide at least some of the functional elements required by a specific product category in order to deliver on those higher-order elements. However, there are numerous combinations of elements in successful products and services today. Most of these elements have been around for centuries, if not longer, though their forms have evolved over time. Initially, couriers carrying messages on foot provided connects. The Pony Express, telegraph, pneumatic post, telephone, Internet, email, Instagram, Twitter, and other social media sites followed. Element's importance varies according to industry, culture, and demographics. For example, nostalgia or integration may mean little to subsistence farmers in developing countries, whereas risk reduction and profit generation are critical. Similarly, throughout history, most consumers have been unable to achieve self-actualization because they were preoccupied with survival, even if they found fulfillment through spiritual or worldly pursuits. However, anything that saved time, effort, or money was highly valued. Increasing revenue. We collaborated with ResearchNow, an online sampling and data collection company, to survey more than 10,000 U.S. consumers about their perceptions of nearly 50 U.S.-based companies to see if the elements of value can be linked to company performance, specifically customer relationships and revenue growth. On a 0 to 10 scale, each respondent scored one company, from which he or she had purchased a product or service in the previous 6 months, on each element. We conducted separate interviews with companies that had major branded divisions, such as insurance or banking. We then examined the relationships between these rankings, each company's Net Promoter Score, NPS, a widely used metric for customer loyalty and advocacy, and recent revenue growth. Our first hypothesis was that companies that excelled at multiple aspects of value would have more loyal customers than the competition. That was confirmed by the survey. Companies with high scores, defined as an 8 or higher on 4 or more elements from at least 50% of respondents, such as Apple, Samsung, USAA, Tom's, and Amazon, had 3 times the NPS of companies with just 1 high score, and 20 times the NPS of companies with none. More is clearly better, though trying to incorporate all 30 elements into a product or service is obviously unrealistic. Even Apple, one of the best performers in our study, scored highly on only 11 of the 30 elements. Companies, as we will demonstrate, must choose their elements strategically. Our second hypothesis was that companies that excelled in multiple areas would grow revenue faster than others. Strong performance across multiple dimensions does, in fact, correlate with higher and more sustained revenue growth. Companies with 4 or more high scores had 4 times the recent revenue growth of companies with only 1 high score. The winning companies understand how they compare to competitors and have carefully selected new elements to deliver over time, though most of them did not use our specific framework. Next, we investigated whether the value elements could shed light on the astounding market share growth of pure-play digital retailers. This was also empirically confirmed. Amazon, for example, scored highly on 8 primarily functional elements, demonstrating the power of adding value to a core offering. It has chosen product features that are very similar to those in our model. For example, when Amazon Prime was launched in 2005, the company initially focused on reducing costs and saving time by offering unlimited 2-day shipping for a flat $79 annual fee. The company then expanded Prime to include streaming media, access and entertainment, unlimited photo storage on Amazon servers, risk reduction, and other features. Each new feature drew a large number of customers and helped elevate Amazon's services far above commodity status. Amazon Prime has reached nearly 40% of the U.S. retail market, and the company has become a consumer value behemoth. This enabled the company to raise Prime's annual fee to $99 in 2015, a significant price increase by any measure. Value patterns. We wanted to understand how the elements translate to successful business performance in order to help companies think about managing the value side of the equation more directly. Are some more significant than others? Is it necessary for businesses to compete at or near the top of the pyramid in order to be successful? Can they succeed solely by excelling at functional elements? What value do customers place on digital versus omni-channel businesses? We used our data to identify 3 value creation patterns. Some factors are more important than others. Across all industries studied, perceived quality has the greatest impact on customer advocacy. Products and services must meet a certain standard, and no other factor can compensate for a significant shortfall in this area. Following quality, the critical elements are determined by the industry. Not surprisingly, sensory appeal is a close second in food and beverages. The elements that matter in consumer banking are access and heirloom, a good investment for future generations. In fact, heirloom is critical in financial services in general, due to the connection between money and inheritance. Smartphones' widespread appeal stems from their ability to deliver multiple elements, such as reducing effort, saving time, connecting, integrating, variety, fun, entertainment, providing access, and organizing. Apple, Samsung, and LG, The companies that make these products received some of the highest value ratings among all companies studied. Consumers believe that digital firms provide more value. Many consumer interactions are made easier and more convenient by well-designed online businesses. Thus, digital companies excel at saving time and avoiding hassles. Zappos, for example, outperformed traditional apparel competitors on these two factors and several others. Overall, it received high marks in 8 categories, placing it far ahead of traditional retailers. Netflix outperformed traditional TV service providers in terms of cost savings, therapeutic value, and nostalgia, with scores 3 times higher. Netflix also outperformed other media providers in terms of variety, demonstrating how effectively it has persuaded customers, in the absence of objective evidence, that it offers more titles. Certain elements still favor brick-and-mortar businesses. Some emotional and life-changing elements favor omni-channel retailers. They are, for example, twice as likely as online-only retailers to score highly on badge value, attractiveness, and affiliation and belonging. Consumers who receive assistance from store employees rate those retailers much higher. Indeed, emotional factors may have helped some store-based retailers stay in business. Furthermore, companies that score high on emotional elements have a higher NPS than companies that only score high on functional elements. This finding is consistent with previous Bain research showing that digital technologies are transforming rather than destroying physical businesses. The combination of digital and physical channels is more effective than either one alone. This explains why E-Trade has invested in physical branches, as well as why retailers such as Warby Parker and Bonobos have opened physical locations. These patterns show that there are numerous ways to succeed by providing various types of value. Amazon increased functional excellence in the mass market. Apple excels at 11 pyramid elements, several of which are high up, allowing the company to charge premium prices. Tom's excels in 4 areas, one of which is self-transcendence, because the company donates 1 pair of shoes to a needy person for every pair purchased by a customer. This appeals to a small group of people who are interested in charitable giving. Making use of the elements. These patterns are intriguing in their own right, and they shed light on how some companies have chosen to navigate industry upheaval. However, the elements must ultimately demonstrate their utility in addressing business challenges, particularly revenue growth. Companies can improve on the elements that make up their core value, which will help them stand out from the competition and better meet the needs of their customers. They can also add elements judiciously to expand their value proposition without changing their products or services. Companies have begun to use our method in a variety of practical ways, instilling in their employees a hunt for value mentality. Although many successful entrepreneurs have instinctively found ways to deliver value as part of their innovation process, as businesses grow, this becomes more difficult. Most large organizations' leaders spend less time with customers, and innovation often slows. The elements can assist them in re-identifying new value. Some businesses have refined their product designs to include more features. Vanguard, for example, added a low-cost, partially automated advice platform to its core investment services to keep clients better informed and, in many cases, to reduce risk. A chainsaw manufacturer who felt undifferentiated used value elements to identify specific ways to differentiate future products. It prioritized quality, defined as the outcomes of using its products, saved time, and cut costs. These 3 elements had the greatest impact on customer satisfaction and loyalty, and they enabled the company to gain a competitive advantage. Other businesses have used the elements to determine where their customers perceive their strengths and weaknesses. They begin by determining which elements are most important in their industry and how they compare to competitors. If a company lags in critical elements, it should work to improve them before attempting to add new ones. A large consumer bank discovered that, while it performed relatively well in terms of avoiding hassles and saving time, it did not perform well in terms of quality. The bank conducted extensive research into the reasons for its low-quality ratings and launched initiatives to strengthen anti-fraud operations and improve the mobile app experience. The Elements of Value model's greatest commercial potential is currently in developing new types of value to provide. Additions make the most sense when the organization can deliver them while leveraging its existing capabilities and making a reasonable investment, and when the elements are consistent with the company's brand. Selecting an additional element is sometimes quite simple. To reinforce their brand promise of reducing risk for computer users, Acronis and other software providers added cloud backup and storage services. Another important aspect of cloud backup is access, because users can access their files from any computer, tablet, or smartphone that is connected to the internet. However, it is not always obvious which elements to include. One financial services firm recognized that by attracting more customers to its retail banking business, it might be able to cross-sell insurance, investment advice, and other products. But how could it possibly do so? The company arrived at the best solution after 3 largely qualitative stages of research, followed by a 4th, highly quantitative stage. Listening with structure. Working with Bain, the company conducted individual and group interviews with current and prospective customers across the United States. The goal was to understand consumers' checking account priorities, frustrations, compromises, and reasons for using multiple institutions for banking services. Ideation sessions are held. We then used the elements to investigate where value enhancements might resonate with consumers. According to Bain's survey data, the elements that tend to reinforce customer advocacy in consumer banking include providing access, heirloom, and reducing anxiety. These insights, combined with consumer research, fueled ideation sessions with a project team comprised of representatives from all customer-facing departments across the bank, not just marketers. The sessions looked at which elements could form the foundation of a new offering. For example, provides access and connects held appeal because the bank may be able to connect customers with financial planners or provide access to mutual funds. However, the team ultimately decided that neither element was feasible in this business, primarily due to cost considerations. Instead, it created 12 checking account concepts based on saving money, making money, and reducing anxiety. Reduced costs emphasized low fees, whereas reduced anxiety emphasized automatic savings. Because the majority of the targeted consumers were living paycheck to paycheck and struggling to save money, reducing anxiety was especially important. Prototype concepts should be designed with the customer in mind. Each project team approved concept included a unique combination of product features, fees, and levels of customer service. Many of these new ideas could be delivered via an enhanced smartphone app, increasing customer engagement with the bank. Almost all of the consumers targeted used smartphones to access financial services, consistent with our earlier observations on the many elements of value delivered by these devices. No other elements can compensate for a significant lack of quality. The financial services firm then conducted additional one-on-one interviews with consumers and received quick feedback, allowing it to narrow the 12 prototypes down to 4 concepts for enhanced value. Then, in the 4th, quantitative stage, it refined them based on the feedback. The following are the results of a study. The project team tested the 4 prototypes with thousands of customers using discrete choice analysis, which requires people to make a series of explicit choices when presented with a series of product options. The researchers began by compiling a detailed list of each prototype's attributes, such as ATM fees, overdraft fees, credit monitoring, customer service hours, and so on. They presented respondents with several sets of checking accounts that differed in these attributes and asked them to choose their favorite prototype from each set. This process was repeated several times as attributes were changed based on an experimental design, until the team discovered the winning combination of attributes. The bank recently launched 2 clear finalists in the marketplace. It will determine the eventual winner based on customer demographics and increased demand. Starting over. Value elements work best when a company's leaders recognize them as a growth opportunity and prioritize value. It should be as important as cost control, pricing, and customer loyalty. Companies can develop a discipline for increasing value in the following areas. Development of new products. Our model can spark ideas for new products as well as elements to add to existing ones. Managers might wonder, for example, if they can connect with customers in a new way. Can integration with other software applications benefit our customers? Can we make our service more therapeutic? Pricing. Pricing is widely regarded as one of the most important demand management levers by managers, because higher prices directly increase profits when demand remains constant. However, higher prices alter the consumer value equation, so any discussion of raising prices should take into account the addition of value elements. Remember how Amazon's prudent price increases helped to justify higher prices over time? Segmentation of customers. Most businesses have a formal method for categorizing their customers into demographic or behavioral groups, which allows them to analyze what each of these groups values and then develop products and services that deliver those elements. Whenever an opportunity to improve value arises, managers should begin by conducting a survey of current customers and potential prospects to learn where the company stands on the elements it is, or is not, delivering. Because product and brand examinations may yield different results, the survey should cover both. For example, The product may provide a lot of value, but customers may have trouble getting service or technical support. The elements of value also have an organizational dimension. Someone in the organization should be tasked with explicitly thinking about, managing, and monitoring value. I have a lot of people working on product features and service improvements, one pay TV executive lamented, but I don't have anyone really thinking about consumer value elements in a holistic manner. The concept of value remains psychologically based, but the elements of value can make it less amorphous and mysterious. Abraham Maslow emphasized psychology's bold, confident, and positive potential. The elements can assist managers in creatively adding value to their brands, products, and services, giving them a competitive advantage with consumers, the true arbiters of value. Like, subscribe, get notified.